Hello, hi, how are you? And welcome to another podcast by George. Well, before we put a ribbon on the month of November 2018, I just wanted to take a few minutes to summarize some of the discussions I've had recently and a couple of the podcasts that we've had. I hope you've enjoyed particularly the music and some of the hockey and some of the things off the normal beaten trail. Haven't had a lot of news and politics on lately, and I got to tell you the reason for that really is because I'm a little fatigued, a little disgusted with what's going on. I'm sure that you are too. The month of November started with the midterm elections. A lot of people were really happy about the gains the Democrats made, particularly in the House of Representatives, and the fact now that they'll finally have some oversight on this renegade nut in the White House, Donald Trump. But I got to admit, I was a little disappointed. I was really hopeful that Americans at large would see the error of their ways in electing Donald Trump and supporting these GOP candidates and seeing what they have wrought, and that there would be a blue wave, a blue tidal wave, and that we would flip this thing and overturn a lot of what's happened in the past couple of years. We made some gains as Americans, I think, but it was more of a blue ripple as opposed to a blue wave or what I think we really needed, which was a blue tidal wave. And I hope you had a chance to check out my podcast on the anti-racism rally at Drake University. I've had some conversation with folks that had listened to this, and I think some of them were a little taken aback, maybe a little offended by some of the remarks made at that rally, particularly by the black students who, and they knew they would be, they knew they would be seen as being somewhat unappreciative, that they would be taken as angry and frustrated. Well, here's my take on that. If I were black and living in America, I would be the most frustrated and angry person that you've ever seen. I put it in my own context, and the only way I can. I'm not black. I didn't grow up in the southern part of the United States. I can't imagine what that's like. But here's what I do know. I know what it's like to be a short man. I've been struggling to make 5'7" my entire life. And on occasion, every now and then, in instances that are important to me, I have seen in the eyes and faces of people, not discrimination certainly, but that look that has to do with them knowing that I'm short when it comes to my participating in, sports or maybe even dating girls or whatever the case might be. And when I see that, or when I saw that, particularly when I was younger, I was full of anger and frustration. Can you imagine what it would be like in this country to have that look on people's faces, to see that in people's eyes, not on an extremely rare occasion for being short like I was or am, but every single day on things that are extremely important. Things like employment, for instance, and socializing, and integration, and education, and government, and everything that's significant and important to you, to have that being held over you and to be able to recognize it and see it in an instant. And by God, believe me, they can. And I would too. And here's the way that I put it to people. I call it the Sidney Poitier effect in this country. Back in the 60s, and you've seen the newsreel footage, when those black people were walking across the bridges, when they were holding hands and singing in unison and trying to get things overturned in this country peacefully with Martin Luther King, and they were being beaten and fire hosed and lynched, if you can believe that, in this country. Look at those people. How are they dressed? They're dressed in the issue of the day. A lot of times they're wearing white shirts and suits and ties. They are articulate. Think of Sidney Poitier. That's what they were like. What were they trying to be like? They were trying to be like us. They wanted to join us. They wanted the best of America. They just wanted to share in what we already had. And we had plenty. We had too much, probably. They just wanted some of it. And they were willing to be like us, to be of one, to take advantage of that. And what did we do? We beat them. We fire hosed them. We ridiculed them. We denied them. We held them back. We're still doing it to this day. And what's the result of that? Do we have Sidney Poitiers running around in this country right now, or do we have angry and frustrated people, and justifiably, rightfully so? I think you know the answer to that. And that is what you get when you respond to people with hatred and violence and ignorance like we did in the 60s. This is what you get. At the very least, you don't get Sidney Poitier. Sidney Poitiers gave up. They don't want to be like us any longer. They have no interest in dressing like us, acting like us, joining us, by and large. They want their own. They don't want to wait to receive. They want to take. And I would too. Here's the context that I put that in. People say that, well, these minorities, they should just wait. Well, they don't want to wait any longer. They've been waiting for a couple of 100 years. How long do you expect them to wait? And that's what some of the speakers at that rally said. And then even more laughable, they want them to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. Do what they did. Work hard. Study hard. Get ahead. Okay, that bull crap sounds great, except if you were born in a shotgun shack in Tupelo and born black in the United States of America. I challenge you, if that's the case, get up every morning, work hard, study hard, play hard, sacrifice, and see where it gets you. It's probably going to get you to the unemployment line, and that ain't right. And I understand that. I get that. And it's going to get you looked at funny. And it's going to get you responded to oddly. And it's going to get you discriminated against. It's going to get you segregated. It's going to get you these racist crackers that are on TV today, more so than they ever have been in the past 20 years, again, trying to do something to you, to hold you back, to keep you from getting something simply because the color of your skin. And what do you expect them to do? What do you think will happen? Do you think they want to be Sidney Poitier any longer? Do you think they want to join us? I wouldn't want to. And I think it's remarkable, and I think it's wonderful that they still want to go to our university. Some of them. Some of them still want to be the fabric of the society. Some of them. Some of them don't. And I get that. And it's a huge history lesson. And I'm going to turn that around a little bit and ask you if you see the similarities, if you see the parallels in what I'm talking about and our current anti-immigration policy. With all of these people that want to come to our country peacefully, that want to integrate with us, that want to come here and get jobs and be a part of the greatest country in the world. And I look at them coming across the border, and I see them wearing the clothes that we wear. I see them carrying belongings that we have. I see the hope in their eyes. They just want to be like us. And what are we doing to them? Looks to me like we've got the tear gas out again. And what happens when you send the tear gas their way? What happens when you send hatred their way? It comes back to you. Well, that's it. That's just a little bit of thinking on the thoughts of the day. There's one other thing that I want to pass along. Just saw an interview. Maybe you did too. Dan Rather, God love him, interviewing Joan Baez. God love her. And Joan Baez made a very important point. And that is, as important as all of these issues of today are, nothing is more important than climate change. Because even this racism stuff that I'm talking about, which is hugely important, all of this stuff, and you've heard me say it before, is going to amount to dinky do if climate change is not abated and perhaps even to a certain extent reversed. And who knows if it can be. That's the other part of this. These climate scientists that are being proven right, except by idiots like Donald Trump and other people that are deniers, that, you know, people that belong to the Flat Earth Society and believe in UFOs, and, you know, Ted Cruz's dad collaborating with Lee Harvey Oswald to kill JFK and nutball stuff like that. I mean, we can't probably do anything about those people. But the climate scientists have always said that their estimates are conservative. It could be worse than what they have been predicting. It may happen sooner than what they are projecting. And if it is, God help us all. I mean, we need to get on this, because the rest of it, as bad as it is, doesn't mean anything if we can't do something about climate change. And if you're still kind of wondering whether or not it's real or as severe as it seems to be, and you're not really, okay, here's the deal. You know who does believe in it? You can read everywhere you want to on this. Just go on Google and check it out. The Pentagon. The Pentagon is preparing for climate change. And they're doing it with their naval bases and with the military, because they're responsible for the defense of this country under all circumstances. They have the charge of looking forward and defending us under all circumstances. And the circumstance that they see looming, the Pentagon, is climate change. All right, let's leave it there. Let's not get too gloomy, Gus, on you. That's the end of November. The holidays are fast approaching. The month of December will soon be upon us, with all good cheer and all good podcasts by George.